Absalom by Diana Quintero. At 98, Absalom used to sit in his old armchair, looking at the distance. He spent the whole day waiting for the lunchtime. He was a survivor of the generation of 27, a man whose mind was a library. The atmosphere in Absalom's house had kept the emptiness and solitude after his wife's death. He had been feeling her absence after 12 years. Every morning he looked himself in the mirror. His eyes had already forgotten the wonderful of the sunlight. He felt the weight of a century, wondering if his existence could have been more than a shadow in his mind. The ghosts of his youth were not kind. After their parents passed away, Absalom was left under his older brother's care, Edward. Edward believed that the child's spirit was something to be broken. His voice was the only law at home. Absalom spent his adolescence learning that love was a feeling Edward refused to provide. This cold behavior had become a hollow in Absalom's heart. He spent the next 5 decades in silence. Absalom became adult. He was working for a long time for a big cars company until he reached his 50s. One day, when he was visiting his pal, a woman much more younger than him ran through the door. Despite the decades between them, they shared a smile. 3 months later, Doris and Absalom had fell in love and decided to get married. Their marriage was a scandal to some, but a miracle to Absalom. The hole in his chest got full of happiness. While Doris was learning about cooking and toys design, Absalom worked. For the first time, he believed in the bright side of the sun. Absalom and Doris were enjoying the arrival of his first son, Leo. However, the shadows of the past stuck nose in what they believed a sweet home. Leo was looking like his uncle Edward, eye-cold, calculating, and hungry for power. Even as a child, Leo noticed the perfect way to manipulate their parents. Doris tried to deal with him gently, but Leo preferred this ambition. He was growing up just counting the days until his dad's strength would finally fail. The couple's life suddenly was marked by a grief that never truly left the house. Between Leo and their younger sister, Diana, there was a ghost. A child lost for an abortion that broke something essential in Doris. They tried to move forward for the sake of the children they had. And even when the time had passed, the words that never had been said started to hurt the peace in Doris' health until the terrible day when the doctor notified them the worst. She got a terminal disease, and she will only had less than 5 years to live. When Doris died at 58, the family split. Leo took advantage, behaving himself as a shark. Through a series of cruel legal manipulations, he became the family home's owner, as he knew that his father was even older and had lost the sight of his right eye. Absalom was living in the house while Leo started running a company there. his dad never was able to ask him for a rent payment. Diana, the youngest, had lived under his older brother's shadow. She grew up as a coward and feeling alone when her mom died. At 17, she found herself pregnant and terrified. Instead of support, the wall of Leo, Doris, and Absalom's reprehension established a new enormous hole. In a moment of desperate rebellion, Diana disappeared. For years, the only news of her came in fragmented rumors. Absalom was living in his house with the bitterness of Doris' death. Now they shared the house with Diana's son, Leo, and his wife. A critical day suddenly crushed Diana. Her dad had suffered a car accident. When her son called her, she found the forgiveness she thought she had needed decades ago. After Absalom's release, Diana appeared at his door, and his eyes finally were clear. She had found the opportunity to hug the only person who still remembered the sound of her mom's voice. During the final months of Absalom's existence, Diana got closer. Her presence was his dad's happiness and Leo's restoration. They never spoke of the house nor the years they had lost. Instead, they spoke of funny childhood and the way Diana's son had become a teen. Diana cared their family with a tenderness that was not only an apology but also a gift. As she cared them, Absalom realized that the meaning of a life are the moments where the soul of a sweet family brights each other. One evening, Absalom felt that his final breath was coming. He wasn't afraid. He saw Diana sat by the window as he used to. He realized that through her, his story wouldn't end. He thought of Doris. With a final breath, Absalom let go their thoughts, finding the quiet and absolute love of the family who had guided him to the brightest door of the eternity.